Homework number 5. First topic, 3-step linear equations. First thing is to get all of your variable terms on the same side. It doesn't matter whether you move them to the left, like this, where we get 5x plus 6 equals negative 24, or you can move them to the right, which gives us 6 equals negative 5x minus 24. Both of those math steps are valid and correct. Most students prefer to have their x's on the left, so I'm going to subtract 10x from the right side so that there are no longer any x's on the right side. Now I'm going to subtract my constant of 6 so there are no more constants on the left side. When I combine like terms on the right, I get a negative 30. And when I divide both sides by 5, I get my final answer of negative 6. We'll type that in the answer box here and click Submit. Again, you can choose to move your variables in any direction that you like. If I was to add 12x to both sides, that would mean that I'd have no variables on the left, but I would have a positive variable on the right. And some students prefer to keep their variable positive. But either way, when I subtract my coefficient, I'm going to get negative 3 equals 3x. I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and I get my final answer. Now, whether you solved it this way, or whether you added 9x to both sides, you're going to get the same answer. I'm going to solve the same exact problem, but a different way. I'm going to add 9x to both sides this time. Now you'll notice my x is negative. But after I compute all of my inverse operations, I'm still going to get the same final answer, that x is equal to negative 1. So let's type that in here. And let's take a look at the next topic, linear equations with distribution. For this topic, you'll want to multiply by any term touching the parentheses to every term inside the parentheses and then stop. There'll be no more multiplying after you reach the end of the parentheses. Then we're going to rewrite everything that's still left in the equation. The left side of our equation has multiple variables and multiple constants. So we're going to combine like terms by performing the operations we see. 2x's plus 2x's make 4x's. And positive 8 minus 1 makes positive 7. And now I can solve by using my inverse operations. 4x is equal to 12, divide both sides by 4, and get your final answer. Let's try this one more time. Multiplying the coefficient times everything inside the parentheses and paying very close attention to the signs. Once that's done, combine the variables together, combine the constants together, and watch your signs. Negative 6x's plus 1x. Negative 3 minus 2. Right? Be careful that you are paying attention to those signs. Add 5 to both sides. Divide both sides by the coefficient of negative 5 and get your final answer. Let's take a look at the next topic, fractional linear equations. If you need a calculator to help you compute with fractions, you can use the online Desmos Scientific Calculator, or you can use the link that's posted in the Google Classroom stream by clicking the Start button. And then the calculator will appear up here in the middle, the TI 30XS. And it will have that fraction button that you're used to. And so if we want to multiply 1/2 times 7, then we can get that new fraction. So let's see here. We're going to have 8 is equal to 1/2 times 7x, which is 7/2 x, and then 1/2 times minus 10, which is negative 5. My next math move will be to add 5 to both sides. I'm going to get 13 is equal to 7/2 x. Now for some of you, you may want to divide here by 7/2, and some of you may want to actually perform the mathematics that's involved in dividing fractions, would be to multiply each side by the reciprocal. So for us, that would be multiplying by 2/7. And when you open your calculator, you can simply type 2/7 times 13. So we're going to write 2/7, and then outside of the fraction times 13. And that gives us 26/7. And 26/7 is what you should be entering into the homework answer box. So again, that was 26/7. So 26 with a fraction bar and a 7. Let's try it again. So sometimes there isn't too much to compute, like here. 7/5 times x is just 7/5 x. And then 7/5 times 5. So I already know this answer, but I'll model for you here on this calculator that you can type 7/5 and then times 5. So we're going to get 7 as an answer. And so we're going to write plus 7. We're going to subtract 7 from both sides. And we're going to get -2 is equal to 7/5 x. Now some students like to divide by fractions like this, because you can do that on your calculator. And others of us, instead of doing that, we like to multiply both sides by the flip. That's called the reciprocal. So 5/7 times -2. So I'm going to type that here. 5/7 times -2. And I get -10/7. And then the student that did this one here, -2 divided by 7/5, might try typing it like this, -2, and then down here in the bottom, they're going to press the fraction button again. And they're going to type 7/5, just like that. You can type it exactly how you see it on your paper. Still the same answer, -10/7. So let's type that in here, -10/7. Click submit. Let's take a look at the fourth section here, equations with decimals. Again, you may want to use your calculator, but be careful when you're distributing. Sometimes there are items in front, but they are not what's being distributed. What's being distributed is the number that is actually touching the parentheses. So for us, we're just going to bring this -4x down. And then we're going to multiply -3 times -8x, which is positive 24x, and then a -3 times 3.5. So -3 times 3.5 is -10.5. I didn't want to get that wrong, so I used my calculator. Now I'm just going to copy everything that's left in the equation here. Ooh, my left side is quite long. So I'm going to combine these variable terms, and I'm going to combine these constant terms. That gives me a 20x minus 20.5. And now I'm going to add 20.5 to both sides. And again, I don't want to make a mistake, so I'm going to add 3.9 and 20.5. So 3.9 plus 20.5, and I get 24.4. 24.4, and I'm going to divide both sides by 20. 24.4 divided by 20, and I get 1.22. 1.22. Good thing I had that calculator. So 1.22. All right. Last topic. Infinite, one, and no solutions. So we got to take a quick look. At each problem after you get rid of the parentheses. So -8x minus 6 equals -8x minus 7. And there we have it. right? We have some variables on both sides, and let's recap those rules. You may want to pause the video, take a minute to look at these rules again. And when you have a single variable term on the left and a single variable term on the right, you've done all of the simplifying that you can. If you have different variable terms, you're going to have one solution. But if you have the same variable terms, you might have one of these special situations. And which one you have depends on the constants. If the constants are the same, you're infinite. If the constants are different, you have no solution. So let's go back and take a look at what we have. We have constants that are different. So it's not a perfect match on both sides, so we call that no solutions. So we're going to say that this equation has no solutions. And we're going to submit our answer. Let's try another one. So we're going to take a quick look. If there's any distributing or combining, we're going to do that. We don't have any of those situations, but we do have the same variable term. We have the same variable. So when you have the same variable term, you have to make a decision based on your constants. If the constants are different, then we have no solution. We've got constants that are different. So this equation has no solution. One more. This one's going to require a little bit of math. So let's see. I'm going to multiply here, and I'm going to get positive 18x. I'm going to multiply here, I'm going to get positive 9. And there's nothing to do on the right-hand side. So right now I've got 18x plus 9 equals negative 21x plus 35. And I can see that I have two different variable terms. So that means I definitely have one solution. And now what they want me to do is tell them what that one solution is. So when I multiplied and got 18x and negative 9 and negative 21x plus 35, I then have to solve for x. So I'm going to add 21x's to both sides. And that's going to give me 39x on the left. And then add 9 to both sides. And that's going to give me, 39x equals 44. And I'm pretty sure if I divide 44 by 39, I'm going to get a pretty wacky decimal. So 44 divided by 39 is wacky, so I'm going to put it in a fraction and just see if it can be simplified. And the answer is no. If it could, it would tell me the fraction in a different way. So 44 divided by 39 is our crazy one solution. And that's it. That is homework number 5.